Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield in the morning, talking to my favourite people, and of course the country's biggest stars. Todd Carty, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm all right. Are you stalking me or am I stalking you? This is getting very regular.
I'm not sure. Maybe we're doing a bit of both. If I stalk you in the north, you can come and stalk me in the south.
Well, last time we spoke, you were in Leeds with Spamalot. I'm talking to you today in Manchester. You're going up and down the country, and then you're in Bradford coming with the show. Are you bored yet?
I'm not bored. You know why? Because it's so silly. I think if I was doing a heavy Shakespearean tragedy or something like Les Mis, then I would have definitely booked my place at the Priory by now. But I'm not. And the overture comes up. You get to sing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. And there's something each time. Listen, I'm away from my kids and touring all over the whole of the UK. But as soon as that overture kicks in the first half, everyone's ready, and I mean, you've seen the show yourself, so it's very, very silly. And listen, there'll be a time when we have to put it to bed, and that will be sometime this year. But for the moment, I'm hanging on in there, and I'm still clunking away on my coconuts.
What's your life like? Because I find hotels unnerving and different cities unnerving. How do you just manage to fit in and make your life normal around all this chaos around you?
Well, you try and choose different places. Like, so one week I might stay with a sweet little old lady who likes gin, and one week I might stay at one of the famous Premier Inn or Travelodge or whatever. And you just choose from time to time or where you get lucky. We're a bunch of sort of a troupe of, it's almost a rock and roll tour, so you get where you can get, really, and that is the real pain in the backside. I must say, though, ringing up saying, have you got this room, have you got that room, because we've got to do that ourselves, more or less. When you're on the road, it's not like TV, they all sort it out for you, so that is a bit of a pain. But once you're there, you shut the door behind you, have a glass of wine or something, watch a bit of telly, and then get ready for the Monday to Saturday marathon that is Spamalot.
Because one thing that doesn't change in theatre is that old book of places to stay in every town, and there are people who literally have one star in after the next.
With the landladies, they've got the photos on the wall. Or, I had him last week. Oh, Dottie was lovely. There's all that kind of thing. So it's actually quite nice. It's actually a throwback to the old time. It's quite quaint. It's quite nostalgic. So it does sort of make you feel that you are an actor.
You see, and this show is a throwback to old times. There's old stuff in there, there's old gags in there, and it's great material. And it always reminds me of the producers, the fact that every line is crafted and then crafted again and then worked on again until it's absolutely perfect.
Well, it's a bit like a series of sketches, isn't it? It is basically, it's reduced from the West End show and from the Broadway show. It's almost like a review show. There's 12 main actors, they double up, they quadruple up, and it's like it never stops. One gag, then there's another one, then they go off. We never like to stop or pause too long to give people a chance. Sure, we want them to laugh, but it's a 2-hour show. I mean, some people have to sit down in the theatre for 3.5 hours. I can't sit in the theatre for 3.5 hours, and I'm an actor. So it's short, sharp, and it's to the point. And people do seem to find it genuinely funny. They go away out of the theatre with a silly little smile on their face, and then we know that we've done a good job.
I mean, if you've got a childish and puerile kind of mind, this is the show for you. That's why I love it so much.
Well, it's not sophistication that you want. Don't bother coming to the theatre or come along and pretend to like it. But no, it is very childish and it's very silly, and that's the child in all of us. One time in a theatre, there was a 7-year-old boy cackling like a little old man, and there was an 8-year-old woman cackling like a little schoolgirl. So it does cater for way across the board. And it's so daft. And if you're feeling a bit low and you fancy a bit of a cheer up, come along and watch Spamalot. It's so daft, it's so silly. It'll give you a new lease of life, a new outlook on life, should I say.
I saw it about 5 years ago on Broadway, which was a big, massive, great big production, and it was done so differently to this that they kind of cleaned it up a bit here. There's a few lines that I loved over there, swear words and stuff that they've taken out. Are they scared they're going to offend us?
I don't. There's different type of things that mean different. I think there was a word called that they used over there. Now, not many people might not know what it means over here, but if you lose one of the vowels, and you can use your imagination. So I think we have to be a little bit careful with that. But I don't know, maybe we are becoming a bit more PC over here, but there's just different type of rudeness and swear words. It's that thing going across the pond, isn't it? They mean different things, but they've changed the song. I think they made it the Star Stonger now. Instead of in New York, they said for a producer, because there's a huge Jewish community of producers over there. They've changed that, and we've localized it a lot. So each town that we go to, we pay homage to, which they seem to absolutely love.
It's kind of like the old days of vaudeville and the showbiz shtick that they stick in, and even at the end, the panto stuff of bringing someone on stage always gets a laugh. We were just talking before this, how kind of the old tricks still ring true, don't they? And people still love the old gags in theatre.
Yeah, well, people don't like change when it comes to tradition, I think, and there is the slight panto side to it. We're not being snobby about it. If you could say panto to a few producers, oh, you're not allowed to say that, but, when they get the guy up on stage or the woman up on stage, people love it. And I think they like to see people humiliated as well when you get them up on stage, but not in a nasty way, of course, were just in the silly take the mickey out of you way. So and again, boy meets girl, there's a wedding and all that kind of thing, and which is very panto, but we like a little, there's no plot to it. It's just come along, and we're trying to find a silly old gold cup called the Grail, but and when people laugh in a ridiculous way as the lines are delivered, then you're getting the message home.
And that's the song that goes like this. Never misses, does it?
It doesn't. I mean, it's sort of repeated throughout the show a few times, and again, it takes the mickey out of divas and big musical numbers and loud, massive numbers, and I get to sing. I'll talk about me now. I get to sing "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," which wasn't from the film, but again, that's the craziness of it. I think we stole it from The Life of Brian. That gets different reactions and different. Sometimes it's like an anthem. It's the most song played at funerals we know now ever. So, and sometimes they're in the mood to sing along for it. It depends if they've had a few drinks, which does help if you come along to see the show. And it's very silly. I love singing that song. I love the knockabout, humour that we do. It's very half-witty and very Baldrick-like and all that kind of thing. So hopefully what I lack in lines, I make up in mucking about. Because that's all I do. I muck about every night.
Did you ever think you'd be a recording artist? Because I noticed they brought out a CD now, the UK version of this. That must be nice, because you've got something to actually keep forever. Because often with these shows, you come in it, you go from it, nobody ever cares, do they?
You're in the presence of a pop star. Absolutely. To see your name on the front of a album cover, it's got Marcus Brigstock, Jodie Prenger, and me, Todd Carty, and they make you sound pretty good as well. It goes, you mix it in a studio, so I know the tricks of the trade, what these pop stars are up to now. I might bring out a number one or something, I don't know, but it is a lovely feeling. All jokes aside, when you're a kid, everyone wants to be a pop star, everyone wants to be a rock star, so I'm so chuffed.
You haven't been auto-tuned, have you?
I'm not so sure with me. Listen, someone said, and it might have been you, that, and I'll take this as a compliment or an insult, he can hold a tune. So I'll take it as a compliment, yes. If it was you.
I think it was, actually, because the thing about you is, I talked about your discipline on stage, because in the beginning you don't get to do that much, but you're always on. And I noticed, actually, you got the biggest laugh today, bigger than any of the lines that came before, because what you do while they're talking is distracting, which is the whole point of your character.
Well, it is, isn't it? I think it's in one of the songs, isn't it, or something like that. They're singing away, being very romantic, and Patsy feels left out. So, he shares his grief with the audience, and everyone feels sorry for a poor little clown. So it does get a good reaction, and it's lovely, lovely to hear that, and it's supposed to happen. So, and we also get to see that the king really does love his poor little half-wit horse. So it's a nice little touch, nice little sentimental touch in the show as well.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night with these songs going over your head, or are you able to leave it at the stage door?
I say, hand on heart, that I do leave it at the stage door, but I've been starting to dream about the show now.
Wow.
So I don't know whether that's a good sign.
Time to go.
I think it's time. Well, we've got another 4 months, but when they say you're starting to dream about your work, then you're on dodgy ground. But you know what? The dreams are lovely, and I enjoy them almost as much as I do the show.
Laughing at yourself. Let's talk about you, because of course as an actor, most people know you from EastEnders, and we miss you and we loved you. Do you think that should be happening, where they're forever pushing and going to the next thing and to the next most dramatic scene?
Well, I have to say, I think you must be talking about the baby stuff, which I didn't see, and for me to watch a soap now, would it be The Bill or Grandchild's Welcome, but it's a bit like a busman's holiday. So I think most actors worth their salt, once they've left something, it's like leaving the football club, you just move on. But I don't think, on saying that from looking from the outside in, you will ever stop EastEnders doing controversial stuff or pushing the barriers. Coronation Street does the comedy, does the cobbles. Emmerdale, they've gone bonkers completely now, haven't they? And that's up your neck of the woods as well. And I don't think they will ever stop. And listen, at the end of the day, the producers will be rubbing their hands with glee with all the publicity that it gets. They're not stupid, they're not fools, and they like to make programmes, and if they can attract attention and viewers, and I know the game by now, and I know what they're up to, but I don't watch it enough. Well, I'm a musical theatre star now, darling.
Where do you go from here now? Are you going to go into The Lion King as a giraffe or something?
Well, if they want me as a giraffe, I'll be a pretty short giraffe. Maybe a little monkey might be more suited to me. But I directed my first movie last year called The Perfect Burger, which was a children's comedy horror, and loosely based on Sweeney Todd. But we thought, instead of throwing kids into pork pies, we'll bring the story forward 200 years and throw them into hamburgers instead. So that should be released later this year. I've had a screening last year in the West End in November, and it got a really nice reaction. with some nice industry people who want to throw some money at it, and BBC are interested in it, so we want to do a sequel to that and a series of 6 or 7 episodes. It's a bit like Grange Hill on acid.
You've never known anything different to this, really. Your life has been centred around show business, being famous. It's always odd, isn't it, when you're with other famous people and they get noticed in the street? Is that just normal to you because you've never known a life without being recognised? It's
been that way since, I've been an actor since I was 4, a jobbing actor. Then a wonderful series called Grange Hill came along and completely changed my life. Before that, I could go to school in the tube, go on a bus, and all of a sudden, February the 8th, should we say, 1978, at 4:30, the famous music struck up its band and it came on, and after that it was murder. Couldn't let it go anywhere. But it's the life I've chosen. I seem to have been in some quite nice profile shows, but I can't really complain now after 30 years.
Did you miss anything? Was there anything in your life that you've missed because you were too busy being Mr. Showbiz, being on the telly and being a star?
The only thing I did miss as a kid going to auditions was things like sports days or outings and things like, and Sod's Law. Your agent had said, do you know that sports day you want to go to tomorrow, Todd? I said, yeah. Well, you can't go because the producers have just offered you the job. And I had to make a decision then as a young lad, what do I want to do? A lot of actors go by not the wayside. They don't want to continue as an adult, and I always wanted to do that. And I was such a lucky little bleeder to get the work that I thought even then I should take this job, and I'm obviously so glad I took Grange Hill because that turned everything around for me. So no regrets, maybe just missed the odd kiss behind the bike shed, but I made up for that a few years later.
You've been so blessed through Eastenders especially and things like that, and the people you've grown up with as well on Grange Hill. Learning from the best, is that the key to still being here? Because what you've achieved is really exceptional. The fact that some 45 years since you were born, 100 years, how old are you now? You're still here and in business.
Still doing it, still keeping it going. My agent said when I was young, she said, try and acquire something that's called, it might not be in a dictionary, but I think it is now, it's called stickability. And she said, stick at it, and keep persevering. Never say die. Just keep going, and that's what I've all done. And sometimes it is about being in the right place at the right time. But if you work hard enough and you get on with people, then surely the law of averages is that you should be able to pick up some nice little numbers. And picked up some nice little numbers.
And of course you've seen the business change. In the old days it was old-fashioned show business where your talent was most important. Now you get your knockers out on TV and find yourself a millionaire. Does that bother you, or are you happy just to live the life you are on the stage, on the telly when that happens, and producing your films?
Well, I have to, because it's all that I know. I doubt you'll see me, on Britain's Got Talent, juggling or doing something like that, but you never can tell. But you sort of have to go with the flow, because otherwise if you start getting angry and resenting it... listen, let's be fair, when I was a kid it was new faces, it was opportunity knocks, albeit most of them were maybe semi-pros or pros, but... Again, going back to ratings and making money on all those phone lines, it makes a fortune for certain people like, Mr. Cowell and, I suppose it's on ITV, isn't it? So, they build their empire and they're, making their money. But listen, I can talk. I did, Dancing on Ice, so I've done at least a half reality programme, but at least I proved I could skate.
Yeah, well, prove you could skate, well, a little bit. You proved that you could put the skates on.
Well, yeah, and lovely Susie dragged me around for 3 months, and I haven't heard from her. I'm sure she must have had a mini nervous breakdown because I haven't heard from her in 2 years.
That clip's still doing the rounds, isn't it, where you fell off the stage? I don't know how you quite do that when it's on a flat surface, but you kind of went out of the scene, and it almost was so brilliant that it looked planned, but I don't think it could have been, judging by the look on your face.
I don't think even a Russian Olympic medalist could have actually bloody planned that, for Christ's sake, but it was just one of those things, I was maybe supposed to go in that direction, sort of, but not in quite a spectacular fashion.
Is it a thrill when you switch on the telly at New Year and you find that you're in the top 10 of moments off TV of that year?
Yeah, well, why not? I've been an actor all my life, and you get the top, done some pretty good stuff, and you get talked more about doing a pratfall off an ice rink than you do on anything you've done. But listen, it's fun, and the next day on, I think it was on BBC Radio, this lady rang in and said, she had a bit of asthma and she wasn't feeling well and she didn't have much money, and she said, to compound all the health problems, she nearly died of a heart attack. And say, just tell Todd thank you very much, and he cheered me up. So if you can't put a smile on people's face, then what can you do?
And you certainly do that with this show, and obviously with your artistic endeavours on the ice. Hey, listen, always lovely to talk to you, Todd, and come back on when you got your film out.
Of course I will. We'll talk about it then, but thanks for having me, and long live Spamalot.